Back in better than ever, it's time to get you covered. Week 2, college football, let's rock and roll. It's year 2 of the prime era in Boulder. Are the Buffs all bark and no bite? Or does the W in swagger mean a week 2 win in Lincoln?
College football 25 has been all the rave, and Ashton Jainty looks like he's playing a video game out of the backfield for the Broncos. Can Boise State pull off the upset over Oregon and Eugene?
Is it finally time for NC State to have a seat at the big table? Can the Wolfpack play their cards right in the Queen City with Tennessee on tap?
And the big one, Texas and Michigan in Ann Arbor. There's one sign that needs no stealing as the defending champs look to put the horns down at home in the Big House.
We're talking all that and more on this fabulous Friday morning from inside the Moss Arts Center studio here in Blacksburg. I'm Giovanni here alongside the spread savant, as always, Mr. Raza Umerani. And brother, it's good to be back.
Oh, it is so good to be back up on this desk, dishing out our weekly picks and plays once again. Hey, we closed out last year getting just over the hump of 500, finishing 28, 27, and 3. With some more experience under our belt, we're hoping for a much better 2024 season.
And without further ado, it's time for your weekly bout with the books.
For the first time this season, it's time to show Vegas who's boss. Give me my theme music.
We start in the waspish mountains of Salt Lake City with a cautious cover as Utah makes their Big 12 debut against the visiting Baylor Bears.
To put it kindly, Baylor was not a very good team last year. They lost their last 5 games by an average of 15 points, and this roster didn't seem to plug the gaps that plagued the Bears a year ago. Meanwhile, Utah returned their key trio of offensive veterans featuring quarterback Cam Rising and tight end Brant Kuithe, who connected for 3 touchdowns last week, as well as running back Micah Bernard. And the Utes might have found something in young playmaker Dejon Stanley as well, as the back caught 2 60-yard touchdowns a week ago.
On paper, all signs are pointing towards a blowout win for Kyle Whittingham's boys. Throw in an elite home field advantage, and we love rolling with the heavy home favorites. That's right. Book it, baby. Utah, minus 14.5.
Let's ride the wave over to Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City for the latest installment of a heated rivalry as Iowa hosts Iowa State for the Cy-Hawk Trophy.
When you think of Iowa football, you think defense, and it's for good reason. But is this the year that the offense wakes up and turns the Hawkeyes into a contender? New offensive coordinator at Iowa, Tim Lester, thinks that he has the answer, and Iowa looked solid in week 1, albeit against FCS opponent Illinois State. You see, Caleb Johnson ran for 119 yards and 2 touchdowns, while quarterback Cade McNamara put together his best statistical performance since 2021 when he was taking snaps at Michigan. He threw for over 250 yards, 3 tutties on Saturday.
For that, give us the Hawks to bring home the hardware for the 9th time in the last 11 years in a classic, low-scoring slugfest. Book it, baby! Iowa minus 3.
Let's play our cards with a balanced bet in the Queen City as the Vols look to split up the pack with a Rocky Top takeover in Charlotte. That's right, another top 25 matchup. It's number 14 Tennessee and number 24 NC State.
Listen, I got 2 words for you. Nico Iamaleava. The Vols' young quarterback looks like an absolute stud, throwing for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in just 1 half last week, and shooting up to having the 7th best Heisman odds. And his defense barely allowed 200 yards to help him out on the other side. Now, on the flip side of the equation, the Wolfpack struggled to beat FCS Western Carolina last week and have the 102nd ranked passing defense in football.
There's a reason that this line has moved from 7.5 to 10. That means the public absolutely loves the Volunteers in this matchup, and you know what? So do we. Book it, baby. Tennessee, minus 10.
Now for the big one. The most impactful game of the young season is in Ann Arbor as the defending champs of Michigan welcome the powerhouse of Texas for a heavyweight clash.
I may be the only one in the building who isn't buying all of the Michigan hype. Are they a solid team? Sure. Can they win 8 or 9 games? No doubt in my mind. But they are a far cry from the team that raised a banner a season ago. Look at it. Drama is a cancer, and this program is simply full of it. Not to mention a new coach, roster ruckus, and a quarterback carousel. Texas didn't allow a single point last week. Meanwhile, Michigan pulled away late in a dogfight with Fresno State at home. The Wolverines averaged just 4.3 yards per play last week. All while Donovan Edwards, remember, he's on the cover of the video game, ran for just 27 yards. You team that with the fact that Texas might have the fastest skill players in the entire sport, and I absolutely love the Longhorns to win it convincingly.
Yeah, we love the Horns to hook 'em on Saturday and assert themselves as one of the top title contenders in all of college football. Book it, baby. Texas, -7.
Next on the slate, we offer you a non-con matchup that uniform lovers will absolutely drool over for years to come. Let's be honest, football is just better when schools like Boise State and Oregon are ruling the Northwest. Well, this weekend, they get each other, and it's in Eugene, and both could be serious college football playoff contenders.
Despite being a title favorite, Oregon stumbled out of the gates last week with a head-scratching 24-14 win against Idaho. Now sure, Heisman frontrunner Dylan Gabriel put up almost 400 yards, but the Ducks had turnover problems galore. Besides, this pick is more about the Broncos from Boise, both of our preseason picks to represent the group of 5 in the college football playoff. Star running back Ashton Janty put up video game numbers last week with 267 yards and 6 rushing touchdowns, as BSU put up 651 yards of offense total. They did give up 45 points to Georgia Southern, but more possessions in this game simply means more points on the board.
Now, don't get us twisted. We think that Oregon wins this, and likely comfortably, but Boise State covers the big spread. And as our automatic ace, let's give that one a book it, baby. Boise State plus 21.5.
And now for our super selection of the week, we're headed to Middle America for an old school smash mouth rivalry as Coach Prime and the Buffs take on the resurgent Cornhuskers of Nebraska.
Last night I watched the Ravens and the Chiefs kick off the NFL season, and I said, hey, that Kansas City quarterback looks a lot like the kid from Nebraska. It may be year 2 of the Prime era, but it's also year 2 under the Rule regime in Lincoln. Previous stops at Temple and Baylor, Matt Rule teams took a significant leap in their second seasons. The Huskers are coming off the heels of a dominant 40-7 win over UTEP, a game in which top quarterback prospect Dylan Raiola looked every bit of the part and then some. The reads, the touch on the deep ball, the ability to take over the game, it was the total package. Nebraska is a sleeping giant, and it's on the verge of being awoken in a sport where a generational quarterback changes your program. I believe it starts on Saturday, and it starts against the Buffs in Lincoln.
We send our sincerest apologies to Coach Prime and Shedeur Sanders, but Dylan and the Huskers are going to rule on Saturday night. Book it, baby. Nebraska -7.
So with that, let's go ahead and recap. We like Utah to win big and Iowa to pull away.
We love the orange-wearing SEC duo of Tennessee and Texas to bring home massive ranked road wins.
We like Boise State to show that the group of 5 can play with the big boys.
And last but certainly not least, we like Nebraska to get revenge on their rivals and dominate Colorado on Saturday night.
Man, it's good to be back, and we'll see you right back here next week for another slate of picks. And until then, Raza,
When they call, you be sure to tell them
we got it covered.